Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now we dubbed by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today, if you can tell by the title, I put in the description the actual issues, but I have titled this video, The Battle of Jabiim. We have a bunch of comics here. We have some one-shots. We have issues 55 through 58, which are the Battle of Jabiim. And we also have issue 59, which takes place shortly after. 54, also, we're going to be talking about today. A whole bunch of comic book stuff we have to talk about today, all of which are bangers, by the way. Nothing but net, every single one being a golden freaking thing of amazingness, every single one, not missing a beat. These are all fantastic. Oh my gosh, this is the gold standard for Star Wars. This is the peak of the Clone Wars era. Rest assured, for those who are my friends who enjoy TCW, you thought that what the fridge is it called? Oh my gosh, Umbara, the stuff with Krell, the Jedi, slaughtering the clones and stuff. You thought that was bleak? You thought that was dark? My friends, you need to read the Battle of Jabiim. In the grand scheme of things, this whole thing, this is one of the biggest things in the comics. And while in the grand scheme of things it doesn't do anything to the war, it is something very impactful, something that will scar Anakin forever. So much so that it gets mentioned in the Episode 3 novelization. The novelization, which George Lucas always had more hands-on with the novelizations than he did for the rest of the expanding universe. Of course, the author still had free reign to write stuff. But George Lucas kept a tighter grip on that one, because that's the novelization to his movie. And yet he let that reference come in, because he read the comics. So much to talk about today. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. There's so much. There's so much good here. We're nothing but net. You don't understand. So much good. Okay. Starting with Star Wars Republic, issue 54, focuses on Quinlan Vos. Vos has been, of course, undercover all the time during the Clone Wars so far as this smuggler, this guy who doesn't really support either side, but what he's trying to do is he's trying to get to a position where he can get close to Dooku and become a double agent. That is his goal. Of course, during all this, though, we do get some real conflicting things for Quinlan. As he's been away from the Republic, as he's had to be in the seedy underbellies, working with criminals, seeing this, seeing that, as he's been playing this alter ego, he has been noticing stuff that he never realized about the Republic before, and is starting to question whether the Republic is actually worth saving. He, of course, is still a Jedi, and he believes in the Jedi, but he does not, or he's starting to question his belief in the government, in the Republic. But the big boy scheme at the end, we find out, of course, now he's actively trying to work for Dooku, because every single person, aayla, secura, the rest of the Jedi Order, except for a handful of Jedi, being like Mace Windu, Yoda, Quinlan Vos's former master, and maybe a few others, but most of the Jedi Order, and we have like hundreds of Jedi, think that Vos has just betrayed the Jedi, but he hasn't. He's trying to get closer to Dooku. He needs everyone to believe that, so Dooku would be more willing to believe that he would turn to his side. Of course, here's the thing. Mace Windu is cautious about having Quinlan do this, because Quinlan, as we've seen throughout the comics that have featured him, he struggles with the dark side, much like Anakin and other characters we know. Is it a good idea to put him in this position where he's so close to the dark side? Who knows? But it's awesome. I enjoy this comic issue. It's not as good as the stuff to come, but it's still great because it's John Ostrander and Jan Duursema. You can't fail there. We get to the Aayla Secura one-shot. Aayla, at this point in time, thinks that Quinlan has betrayed her. And so she's dealing with that. The big antagonist of this particular one-shot is Aura Singh. It's very Aura Singh heavy. And I was actually really surprised. And I didn't think about it. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. I'm very excited. Nothing but good things to talk about this episode. Even a Star Wars Tales that I read for this episode, it wasn't bad. It was just positives, 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 positives the whole way through. But I never thought about this. Aura Singh, after she stopped her Jedi training, was captured by Anzadi. She was, tortured, manipulated by Anzadi, and she became a Jedi killer. Aayla Secura, in the earlier comics, after the events of Episode 1, but before 2, she was struggling with the dark side. She was being kind of mind-controlled by this Anzadi former Jedi who turned dark Jedi. Like, imagine basically Count Dracula, but in Star Wars. And that's what he was. And he was using Aayla Secura. She was being controlled. I mean, she was already kind of angry and stuff, but that was helping with the dark side, with this guy. And so they both have been affected by Anzadi negatively. And so she brings that up later on when they confront one another. And I'm like, I never even thought about the fact that they have a lot in common. That's amazing. And we'll see that down the line as well in issue 59 of Star Wars Republic. But overall, this comic issue was also very great. Art's great. Of course it is. Aayla Secura is really cool. I enjoy her character. She's a female character, and she's awesome. And I don't have any grievances about her. Because, despite what, 2021 seems to tell you, there were strong female characters before 2021. It's great. We have the Count Dooku one-shot. Holy Grail right here. Oh my gosh, this comic issue. Count Dooku one-shot. Quinlan makes it finally to Dooku. And he's trying to convince him that he wants to join the Confederacy. Now, Quinlan has the dark side already kind of in him, so that helps make it seem more believable than if, like, Yoda went, oh, I'm changing sides. Like, no one would believe it, because he's so infused with the light side. But Quinlan, that's more believable. Without getting into spoilers, man. Stuff happens in this comic issue. This is very important for Quinlan Vos' story arc. Things are learned. Things happen. This was a phenomenal read. Highly, 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 highly recommend this arc. I'll save it for spoilers. I don't have much to say. I really want to, but I won't do it now. Okay. Star Wars Tales 22. Honorbound. Now, timelines, whether it be Matt Wilkins or other places I've seen, they put the story later. In the Epic collection that I was reading, it was placed before, so I just read it here. It doesn't seem to be contradictory to really put it here or later. Maybe I'll see this character again later and I'll be like, oh, frick, why didn't I just wait? But it didn't seem to contradict anything by putting it there, so I think it's fine to read it either way. But that's where I read it, and I have to say, it was a pretty decent story. Usually Star Wars Tales tends to be pretty bleh, but this was pretty decent. The art was fine. The story was pretty alright. It was a lot better than I expected, and it was a pleasant surprise. Now we get to Republic, issues 55 to 58. The Battle of Jabiim. This is a battle that takes place over 44 days. That's over a month. Like, you watch the Clone Wars TV show, or you read the comics, and you read the books, right? Like I will. And, Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're flying around the galaxy, going to war. Like, there's a war going on constantly, of course. But, at least they have that, like, breather where they're flying to their next, like, a mission assignment. There was no rest. This was every single day nonstop. 44 days of constant warfare on this planet. Bloody conflict. The people on this planet, half of them are very upset with the Republic. They're going to join the Confederacy. They're having a civil war against the other half of their own population that wants to stay with the Republic. And of course, the Jedi and the clone troopers are helping the side that wants to stay with the Republic. By the end of this conflict, you have about 20-something Jedi deaths, not counting Padawans, and like 9,000 something to 10,000 clone trooper deaths. Like, nobody won in this battle. This was intense. This was dark. It was bleak. Nobody won in this scenario. And by the end of it, Palpatine, of course, doesn't want Anakin there because all the Jedi are getting slaughtered. He needs his future project gone. So he orders him to retreat. And he abandons the people who were fighting were fighting for the Republic, who lived on the planet. And, he said that it was their battle, their war. And he checks out. It was very intense. Also, during this time, everybody thinks Obi-Wan is dead. He's not dead, of course, obviously. But that's what Anakin thinks at the moment. So put that all into context. 44 days of war. He thinks his master is dead. He's all alone. It's intense. Of course, currently, the final panel of issue 58, he's been captured by Ventress. Ooh, what's going to happen there? Who knows? Issue 59. Here's another smart matchup that makes so much sense. Sorry, I'm so giddy about it. Astrod Head. A character I know 100 years down the line from now. Under a different name. A character I've met since before I got to, or after I finished episode 1. One of the first characters we meet in the Expanding Universe post-episode 1 content, when Ki-Adi-Mundi has a mission to Tatooine. Here's a character we've got to learn about. He's a very interesting character. And, with his whole Tusken Raider origins, putting Anakin and him together is like bread and butter. You are abound in infinitely good story material by doing this. This is post-episode 2 Anakin. He has slaughtered the Tuskens, murdered them like animals that they are, and now he must take orders from a guy who went from a Padawan to, I guess, during the Clone Wars has been promoted to Knight, has his own apprentice, and now he has to take orders from this guy. From a Tusken. With all the prejudice behind that statement. And it's phenomenal. This is the Jabiim arc was done by Hayden Blackman, who did a phenomenal job. Issue 59, we return to John Ostrander and Jan Duursema. And everything about this is it's phenomenal. The dialogue they have between one another is fantastic. And it's also just baffling because you have two future Sith Lords. One who will be in the next couple of years and one who will be 100 years from now talking to one another. And that's just fascinating to me and a whole nother thing. But this was a phenomenal read as well. Like, there's been nothing but success after success currently with the Clone Wars era from the EU specifically. Not even getting into the TCW 08, which hasn't happened yet chronologically for my timeline, and other things. Like, just absolutely phenomenal material. You know, I've heard people say that, Matt Wilkins specifically, say that the Clone Wars novels are kind of they're not the best of what the expanded universe has to offer you. But the comics are some of the best comics you could possibly find for Star Wars. These comics, absolutely phenomenal. I'm excited to see where Quinlan Vos's story goes. I'm excited to see where, Astaroth Het goes from here. I'm excited to see so much more of what this expanded universe outside of the movies, outside of the shows, has to offer. And it's been a phenomenal ride so far. Absolutely incredible. Everything I've talked about has been absolute gold. I have nothing negative to say in this video. Only praise. Hayden Blackman, you absolute Chad. John Ostrander, you genius of a man. You guys are amazing. Jan Derisma and your art, absolute gold. Well, anyway, guys, without getting into spoilers, that's pretty much it. Up next, I will have a couple short stories and the, I think, first Clone Wars novel. I think this is going to be the first time we're getting into the novels and the Clone Wars content, which is Shatterpoint by Matthew Stover. So, which is obviously a very Mace Windu focused book. So I hope you all join me for that as I discuss that novel. And until next time, guys, may the Force be with you. If you don't want spoilers, if you don't like spoilers, get out of here. If you don't care about spoilers, go ahead and stick around. Last final warning, I'm getting into it. The Count Dooku freaking one-shot. That freaking ending. So, Dooku knew the whole time. What Quinlan was trying to do. He's freaking Count Dooku. You can't trick him. He knew exactly what was going on, but he was going to use it to his advantage. We go back to like Quinlan Vos's aunt or whatever. I forget. She's like the chieftain of the clan, and so far Quinlan's only been able to like touch objects and learn of the past. Dooku encourages him to force it from her anyway. That if he uses the dark side, he can probe into her mind. She's just another object. He can do it. And so he does. And he finds out the truth about his parents. That his aunt specifically made a deal with the Anzati to kill his parents. So that way she could take charge. Quinlan is furious. He gives in to the temptations of the dark side and slaughters his aunt. Now he's a triple agent, it seems like. He's embraced the dark side. Some people might find it silly that he goes, Master, what shall I do now? Like, almost instantly. But it's almost exactly the same to what happens to Anakin once he kills Mace Windu. That just, the dark side is just overflowing now. And he goes, whatever you say, Master. I'm just so overwhelmed right now. And then the same thing with Quinlan. And oh my gosh, that comic issue was so good. You get so much good moments between Dooku and then you have the stuff with Quinlan, and it's just fantastic storytelling. And then you have the Battle of Jabiim, just constant depression and just this overall atmosphere of despair as it's a losing battle. No one is happy in this scenario. Also, Anakin. At the end, I talked about him choosing to leave the men behind on Jabiim. And he gets pissed off for a second. And as far as I know, this is the first time chronologically that Anakin choked somebody out. It was an accident, I think. It was kind of just reactionary. And he instantly said sorry afterwards. But it's the first time I get to see him do it. By the time of TCW, Filoni's Clone Wars, he does it pretty much with ease. He doesn't care. This is the first time we see him actually use that dark side power. which you know Vader loves to use. Should have had Vader's theme playing during that. And I really don't have any spoilers to say about issue 59. But every single interaction between those two, Ashrod and Anakin, just absolutely phenomenal. Just absolutely incredible. And I don't have much else to say. That's where I'm going to leave it. I would recommend Mandalore on YouTube's video about the Battle of Jabiim. If you want a more in-depth thing and you don't care about spoilers, that's the video to check out. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Sharing helps it a ton. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. And may the Force be with you.